Coming to you live from the Motor City of Detroit. This is Get Off My Lawn Live with your host, Eric Buckner. Brought to you by the Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network. Our voices for our people. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's your boy, Eric Buckner. E-Buck is in the building, and you are now viewing Get Off My Lawn Live. How's it going tonight, everybody? It is Tuesday, and it is also January 19th. We got some big stuff going on this week. In particular, tomorrow, we will discuss that along with the usual trending topics and some of my major topics for the week. Give people a second to go ahead and jump in. As always, I encourage you guys, as we have these discussions, to jump on in the comments and let me know what you're thinking about what's being discussed. It is very much appreciated. Also, for those of you who are not quite comfortable being a part of the comment section, but do have some things to add to the discussion, feel free to use my Facebook Messenger at Eric Buckner to voice your comments and opinions, and I will talk to the people anonymously, that is, about what is said. As far as my personal is concerned, I'm doing okay overall. I am having an issue with my rest still in terms of getting some quality sleep. I know part of it comes from my sleep apnea, which I've talked about on a few occasions, but basically just kind of concerned about things in general and doing my best to kind of work through that. So forgive me if I have some momentary lapses in memory and whatnot. For those of you who are familiar with sleep deprivation, these are the types of problems that it causes. But I will do my best to give you guys a quality show full of information and thoughts and facts and all that good stuff. So that being said, we will get into it momentarily. But first, a word from one of our sponsors. That sponsor being me.
Set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher. I'm gonna set your place on fire. Let's get higher.
What's up, everybody? Eric Buckner here. You know Miss EB, Young Easy, Eric Buck, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm here to kick it with y'all about this little podcast I've been doing. You know, I talk trending topics. I talk about the stuff we as people need to talk about. I talk about some things, actually, that people kind of want to shy away from, because we got to have these discussions, folks. That's how we get better. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, hold on. Yeah, so anyway, you know, I do it Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. You can check it out on Facebook, on YouTube. You know, it's a good show. I say get into it. Yeah, you want to know the name of the show? You said, hold on. Hey, you, get off my lawn. Yeah, anyway, that's the name of the show, by the way. Get off my lawn. Check it out, Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Let me go handle this. I'll be out. Hey, what's good, y'all? We are back. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. Eric Buckner's in the building, and I'm about to get into it. You know how we do. We're going to talk the usual trending topics, and of course, we're going to start it out with the COVID update, but first, let me get to a couple of comments. Hey, cousin, what's going on? Lee is saying, why am I getting tomorrow off and not Martin Luther King Day? That's a good question. Yes, I know you, I know you, cuz. I got you. But That's a very good question. Keep in mind, that is supposed to be a national holiday, folks, that we basically get to honor not only the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King, but to do things in terms of service. Something that I feel like we've gotten away from over the last several years. It's become pretty much a party holiday for some, not a holiday at all for others, still not fully recognized in certain states. That is an issue. But we definitely need to get into that some other time. Absolutely. Keep in mind, next month's supposed to be Black History Month, and I got several thoughts on that one. So perhaps we will revisit that sometime within that. But yeah, because I'm least glad that you got tomorrow off. Please enjoy. Okay. H2 is checking in. Hey, H2, hope you're feeling a little better. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. H2, also known as my associate producer on this particular show. Good to see that everything's going well on that end. Do me a favor, H2, go ahead and send the NHS out to people so we can let them know that we are on the air and ready to handle biz. So that being said, let's get into the trending topics, folks. What's going on this week? COVID-19 update. Here we are. We are almost 11 months into our first initial thoughts and processes into COVID-19, particularly here in the United States. Right now, worldwide, we're looking at over 96 million people having contracted the virus. In a world of 8 billion people, perhaps not quite as much, but 96 million of anything is a lot. A lot, okay? And out of those 96 million people, over 2 million people worldwide have succumbed to the virus in a little under a year. 2 million people. Keep in mind, I live here in the city of Detroit, population about 700,000. So imagine if basically Detroit and two cities about that size just completely disappeared from the face of the earth and within a year's time. Try to think of these numbers in terms of that as opposed to just thinking of them as just little digits that's people throwing out there. And remember, these are the reported numbers. These are not the actual numbers. The actual numbers are probably higher. There are probably many people like myself who feel like at some point they have contracted COVID-19 and for whatever reason were able to kick the virus here at home or what have you. So those people have not been reported as having COVID-19. And then there's other places in other parts of the world where they don't have the technology and understandings that we have here. So what we know to be COVID-19, they may just simply be someone sick and nobody ever reported it, or basically they died from it and we don't know exactly that that's why they died. So these are things you should consider also when we talk about these numbers. Here in the United States, we have over 24 million people, almost 24.5 million people have now contracted COVID-19 reportedly. Again, considering that, we're probably looking at maybe 30, perhaps even 40 million people actually had it. Remember, there's 361 million plus people here. So if we're looking at about 25 million people, that means almost 1/10 of every person here in America has had COVID, according to these numbers. So basically, if you have a household of about 4 or 5 people, there's a possibility at least one of you guys, or at least one person in the house next door, has had COVID. So that's something to consider as well. And out of all those 24 million, we have 404,000 people who have died from coronavirus in less than a year. Again, remember, city of Detroit, about 700,000 people, 404,000 people. That's just like taking a good part of my city and throwing it in the ocean. And we got what's left. Again, 404,000 of anything is a lot. Please do not discount these numbers. And these are people who have been walking this earth and are no longer here because of the virus. Okay, we got some comments. Let's get to them. I would love to have MLK Day off work, but my job can care less unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas. And because I've worked where you work, Hugh Lee, who happens to be my co-host for my Wednesday sports show known as Game Time Audible, I definitely can relate to you, Hugh. All right, thank you, H2, appreciate it. My girl Jean is in the house. What's going on, Jean? Jean being one of my best friends from college. All right. Thank you, H2. Appreciate you. So, yeah, let's get back into these trending topics. The COVID talk continues because, of course, we still got thousands of people dying a day and several thousand basically getting sick every day. And on the other hand, we got what's supposed to be the solution, the cure. But again, as I often point out, people, these vaccines, whether it be the Moderna one or the Pfizer one, those are the two that's out here right now, they are not cures for COVID-19. Let's be very clear on that. That being said, part of the problem we're having right now is the fact that we've basically sent out 32 million vaccine doses. You know, that's that little thing. You know, that's a little bit smaller than this. That's considered a dose of the vaccine. We've sent them out to the various places in the States and in Hawaii and things of that nature. And right now, out of those 32 million that's been distributed, only about 13 million have been administered, as in basically put in people's arms. So right now, we're supposed to be having a lot of people who should be already fully vaccinated because they've received both of their shots of the Moderna or the Pfizer vaccine, depending on which one you're taking. Because remember, the Pfizer vaccine, you're supposed to get that second dose after 21 days. And for the Moderna, you're supposed to get the second dose after 28 days so that you get that 94 to 95% effective immunity to the virus. It's not going that way right now because a lot of places who are administering the virus are coming up with shortages. And some of those shortages are dependent on various things. One, what states have been promised to receive in terms of vaccines, they have not fully got. In other words, it's Project Warp Speed, and the main focus was to be to distribute these things to the states, and then the states figure out where to go from there. They're not even coming through on that part of the agenda. In other words, they're not giving out as many vaccines as initially was promised. Remember, we're supposed to be at this point in January looking at about 25 million people already vaccinated, at least with the first dosage. That is not the case. Not the case at all. That's first problem. Second problem is they're coming up with situations like what happened here in Michigan, where they have found about 5,200 doses, I believe it is, that basically they are not sure or probably won't use because they were not properly kept. In other words, this is the Moderna vaccine in particular. They're saying that the Moderna vaccines from these 5,200 doses were kept at temperatures that's too cold for them, or basically were spoiled because of the temperature control which they're supposed to be kept was not properly dealt with. So as a result of that, that's causing shortages at the 6 places where that particular batch of 5,200 doses was supposed to go. We're also having issues here in Wayne County because they've had to postpone people's appointments to get the vaccine because right now they're saying there's a high demand for people who are in the age group of 65 and over, or first responders that actually do want to take the vaccine, but they don't have enough vaccines to give them, or in some cases, they don't have enough people to administer them. So we have that issue. We also have a problem with the fact that there is still no comprehensive nationwide plan, as our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, has pointed out on several occasions in regards to dealing with these vaccines and their implementation, not to mention the PPE and things necessary that goes with them, such as the needles and things of that nature. So that's also an issue. Several issues primarily caused by the fact that while certain people should have been concentrating on the main problem, the virus, they were more concerned about their election results and things of that nature. You know who I speak of. We will speak on him briefly. And fortunately, I hope to God that'll be one of the few times we'll have to talk about him from this point forward. I wish at least. Anyway, let's get back to the comments. Let's see. He was saying, I heard that Governor Whitmer was discussing reopening school by March 1st. What are your thoughts? We'll definitely get into that, Hugh. Thanks for asking. But is the outcome good or bad? And what aspects? Kind of expound on that, H2, if you would. But okay, like I said, in terms of these vaccines, we also have to remember a few very good points. One, like I said, there will be people that have complications from these vaccines. In other words, things that's stronger than some of the mild side effects that they speak of, that being the headache, the fever, things of that nature. Shout out to a couple people. I don't want to necessarily put their names out there, but they're people who they have been getting vaccinated. They have had some complications like I speak of, and hopefully it works out well for them in the end. One of them is actually hospitalized right now, unfortunately, but I'm praying for a speedy recovery for that person. You know who you are. You are in our prayers, my friend. But that being said, for the vast majority of the people who take the vaccine, for the most part, it should pretty much go as standard. They get the first one, perhaps a side effect or two. The second one, perhaps a few more side effects, and they move on. Of course, the concerns, as many of us have, because again, as I sit here, I'm not for or against anybody taking it or not taking it. I myself, I'm still on the fence from day to day. I do have family members who have taken it. I actually have a family member who's got both dosages, and they're reporting that they're feeling fine and only have very, very minor side effects. And they're happy that they did it, and I'm happy for them. But in the same token, I have my concerns. I've voiced several of them over the weeks during my podcast in terms of how vaccines are tested and what they consist of and everything like that. So you guys know how I feel in general about it. I know how most of you guys feel. You have let me know. You've reached out to me. You've said so in the comments. Keep in mind, we represent maybe a couple hundred people that might see this podcast as opposed to the mass number of people around the world. So for what we may feel about it, perhaps the majority in the end feel differently. At least according to certain polls that they're taking, they're saying that over 60% of Americans are now saying that, yes, they do want to get vaccinated. But of course, as you know, the goal is to get herd immunity where we have over 75 to 85% of everybody vaccinated so that when you're in a room, you are highly less likely to get the COVID as opposed to now. Okay, quick comment. The vaccine. Okay, well, I just explained all that, H2, so I addressed that. Also, remember, another problem we're having with these this COVID is that there's different strains of it coming out now, different mutations, because as you know, most things of that nature, like the flu and other respiratory illnesses, they do tend to mutate and have different forms, stronger strains, more contagious strains. These things happen. That's why, like, for example, if you go to get the flu shot, sometimes you end up getting the flu anyway. It may not necessarily be the one that you got the shot for. It may be a different variation that you end up getting sick from. So that is in the realm of possibility. Another thing I need to point out is that because we have these different variances of the flu, not the flu, of COVID. See, there I go with the foggy. We do have to be concerned as to whether these vaccines, which were not set up or calibrated necessarily for some of these variants, will be as effective with them or effective at all with some of these strains, these new strains of the flu, and of the vaccine. Keep in mind, from last report, there's at least now 7 different strains of the vaccine of COVID-19 that we have to be concerned about. They found a new strain in California. They found new strains in Ohio. Of course, there's the UK strain that they talked about, the South African strain. And there's another one, I believe, that was in Colorado they found that was different than some of the other ones. So as these things are going on, those are concerns as well. Those are things that we find ourselves worried about in regards to the vaccine. Bottom line is, it's still an ongoing process. It's still very fluent. Johnson & Johnson is scheduled to sometime either the end of this month or early next month put in their findings and put in their test for the vaccine with the CDC to get it approved for emergency use. So that'll put a third vaccine on the market, which definitely will help in terms of getting enough vaccines out there for everybody who definitely wants to take it. Also, the main thing about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to remember is that it is set up to be 1 dosage as opposed to the other vaccines, which is 2 doses, which consist of the first shot and the booster shot. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is effective in about somewhere in that 70 to 90% effective range. Definitely look for them to ramp that up. And if anything, actually pass that one out more so than the others, because of course, if you only have to take 1 shot as opposed to 2, that will definitely help in terms of getting people vaccinated at a quicker and faster pace. So there's that. So anyway, let us move on from that. Of course, now, as you know, today is Tuesday. And as we speak, at least as of this broadcast, I'm yet to hear any word as in terms of what the foolish orange clown, as I call him, because again, I don't mention him by name because he gets no respect from me and still has yet to do anything to garner that respect. In terms of what he has planned for his last several hours in office. Of course, the reports are that he is looking to pardon several people of note. Basically, it's being said that people have been putting in bids to his aides financially to get his ear, and from that gain pardons for people within their camps. In other words, there are lobbyists that are paying people at the White House money in order to get the president to pardon people that they know, if not people themselves. Again, these are reports from the mainstream news medium. That's not just me saying that. But that being said, I'm not surprised at all that that's the case. It's been a lot of shady dealings these last 4 years as far as I'm concerned. Again, these are the opinions of me, Eric Buckner, and Get Off My Lawn Live, and do not reflect those of anybody else in the Nighthawk Network. But like I said, I don't trust it. Not at all. All right. Eating my new profound family. Hey, TC. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. Right now, we're talking about the last days of the Orange Clown. The guy that you guys know as Son. You know his name. Again, I ain't saying it. Not getting hacked. But that being said, it's said tomorrow he is looking to leave the White House somewhere around 8 or 9 and have a huge send-off with potential military deployment, 21-gun salute, all that good stuff. A lot of pomp and circumstance on his last day. And under normal circumstances, probably wouldn't be as big a deal because in the end, we usually celebrate the last day of the president, but usually they celebrate that with the new president, as they usually tend to have a last little conversation and then ride to the inauguration together and spend that time talking to one another and what have you, comparing some final notes, and then, sharing that last moment of presidency and first moment of new presidency together. Clearly, that's not going to happen. This guy has repeatedly refused to concede the election. Clearly, these guys aren't friends, will never be. In terms of former presidents, I will find it interesting to see how he interacts with the former presidents. Needless to say, I don't think him and Obama will never have any good words for one another. And as far as Bush and Carter and the others, who knows? But nonetheless, his time is short, and hopefully between now and then, we don't have any outlandish things happen. Okay, TC is saying they deny his famous exit. He just got to go. Okay, so like I said, you might be up on something that I have not seen yet. In other words, they may have canceled what his plans were. In the end, I agree, TC. I'm just ready for him to be gone. I am ready to move on. Very much so. And because of that, I will be discussing what I think should be the plan of action. In other words, the main topic this evening will be Biden's administrative expectations. In other words, I have come up with a PowerPoint presentation where I will discuss what I feel some of the major focuses of the Biden administration should be. Also on the show, we're going to talk about a good news story of note. This is for the parents in the room. You definitely want to check out this story. It's based on something that happened here in Michigan recently, and it speaks to certain things that I think you as parents might want to be keyed in on with your children. I also want to have a brief discussion on expectations of something that may possibly happen for one of us. I hope it's one of us. What do I mean? We'll talk about it. We will talk about it soon enough. But in the meanwhile, folks, I'm going to get back to some of these commercials. Going to give you a few words from other people in the Nighthawk Network, people like Aunt Nikki and Big Meech. These are commercials that are made and formulated by them. Must give them their proper credit and respects. So we're going to check out those commercials, and we will come back with more Get Off My Lawn Live.
Nikki. Let's talk. Let's Nikki. Let's talk. Let's talk. Nikki. Let's talk. Nikki.
It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Hey, y'all, we are back. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your host, Eric Buckner. EB is in the building. And right now, we are leaving trending topics, and we're going to talk about the main focus of the show this evening. In other words, we're going to get into a little something that I call Biden administration expectations. So, folks, keep in mind, as we are about to go into a new administration, a new presidency, a new version of our government, we basically want to understand what that consists of. We want to talk about what our expectations are. We've given most of us the vote to Biden, at least most of us in this particular room right now, and we want to know what are we getting for our vote. We have our own expectations, and right now I want to give you some of mine, and I'm interested to see what your comments and thoughts are in regards to what I got going. Now, as you guys know, I have been working on some of my computer skills, one of them being learning how to do PowerPoint. And I think, as you guys will see from those of you who watch on a regular basis, that my PowerPoint skills are definitely getting much better. So, yep, just saying hello to everybody. I appreciate you guys speaking to one another. You guys are getting to know each other within the network as you guys watch the different shows and whatnot. So I'm glad you guys are developing friendships and kinships with one another. There you go, you guys. Keep saying hello, keep talking. We appreciate it. But right now, folks, we're about to get into this PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to do that. And as we do that, keep in mind, I'm about to leave the screen, okay? If you guys can't see me or you can't hear me, let me know so I don't be babbling on. This particular PowerPoint is kind of a lengthy one. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get it started. Then I'm going to take a break about a third of the way in, come back and check the comments and your thoughts about it. Then I'm going to go back to it and we'll keep doing it like that till we get through it, okay? We already got a few comments. Let's see what's going on here before I go there. All right. What we got? Yep, just basically everybody saying hello to everybody. Appreciate it as always. Hello, cousin Elena. This is Elena Miller, by the way, the person whose podcast, Girl Stop, is part of my Nighthawk network that I often broadcast. We'll be broadcasting her newest episode tomorrow. So let people know. Yeah, cuz, let people know. I'm definitely liking the podcast, by the way. Very informative. I like the banter between you and your girl, Letitia. Y'all doing a great job. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. We appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Pat. I appreciate you as well. You know that. So, okay, folks, let's go ahead and get into it, all right? Well, hold on. Before I go there, let's see what TC is saying here. I hate the fact that Biden will open the immigrant gates. That's not a good look with this COVID on the rise and level is on. That's putting us more at risk than we already know. Now, remember, TC, he's telling the people, particularly those people in Guatemala, if that's who he's talking about specifically, don't come just yet. Let us get some things together and situated. He's making a way to where they can become citizens, true enough, but he's not saying, come on in. That's not what's being said. If you look at the news reports, you will see that. Don't just take my word for it. Check it out. CNN definitely talked about that today, as well as MSNBC. Awesome. What time tomorrow? Oh, when I post the podcast for Girl Stop with Elena Miller and Letitia Howard, that will be sometime in the morning, Miss Pat. I will definitely personally let you know that. Appreciate that. Absolutely. I appreciate you, cuz. I appreciate you very much, and I love you. So, okay, y'all, let's do this. So what I'm going to do now is go to my shared screen there. You see it? That's the beginning of it. So now what I need to do is go off screen so I can work the PowerPoint. Remember, if you guys lose me, let me know. Here we go. Hold on, y'all. All right, we are here. This is the PowerPoint presentation, and it's entitled What I Feel Needs to Happen Under the Biden Administration. A PowerPoint presentation of what I personally want to occur during President Joe Biden's upcoming term in office. So let's get it started. All right, moving on. There are 12 major objectives I have for the Biden administration to work on and towards. These are not all of the things I expect to happen, but these are some of the major things I expect him to work on. They are fancy, huh? Control the spread of the virus. That is point one. I will explain why that's point one, as it should be. Also want to see him help stabilize the economy and provide aid to Americans in need. Work on better Obamacare system that is easier to understand and implement. Work on some of the agenda set forth by your fellow Democrats. Work with both Democrats and Republicans and consider great ideas for both. Reestablish our good relations with our foreign allies. Work on a comprehensive plan for police reform. Increase the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour and work on unemployment reform. Regulate student debt and create paths for loan forgiveness. Create a commission and then establish a path to provide reparations for African American descendants of slaves. Create programs for minorities and women to have greater access to business, home, and personal loans. And make it possible for all citizens to have access to universal college and or trade admissions. Now, these are the main points. I'm going to get into a few of them. And like I said, then I will address some of you guys' comments. As you see, your main campaign slogan spoke on fixing America by first getting control of the virus. Y'all remember that commercial or those series of commercials from the campaign, right? Because in the end, in order for us to get back to any sense of normalcy at all, the COVID-19 must go. Must go. No COVID. Got to get it out of here. Then we can work on everything else. In regards to that, measures need to take place to help with the safe and rapid implementation of COVID-19 vaccines. It needs to include people who are qualified to get the vaccines and those who will carefully monitor and document those who are having any severe reactions to the vaccine. Measures also need to be taken to ramp up testing for the virus in every state, as well as testing people for the antibodies for the virus. Complete and comprehensive research needs to be done to determine if the antibodies built up by people who have previously had COVID-19 are as good as anyone who is deemed immune through vaccination, as well as how long that immunity is projected to last. We also need research done to determine if people have or could contract COVID-19 more than once. Safety measures and funding for safety measures need to be provided to all schools and potentially to all businesses so they can safely reopen without having to be concerned about closing unless the science and data help to determine that necessary. Also need to fully install a government agency that was taken away during the Trump administration, that the Obama administrators had set up to monitor the potential outbreak and spread of new viruses throughout the world. Now, hold on, folks. I'm about to take that pause I talked about and get to some of the comments, okay? So let me switch back over. Hold on. And address some of you guys' comments. Okay. Biden said they had to wait. Yes, Ms. Pat is confirming what I told you, TC. Yep. Hey, what's going on, Big Joe? Glad you could join us. Cousin said, I wish it was easier to be tested for the antibodies and not just having the virus. Absolutely. So you completely understand that. One of the things I wanted to establish and talking about that is this. Okay. Remember, people, when you contract COVID-19 and then you basically get to a point where you are well again, your body now has determined or basically implemented the means to fight said COVID within itself. So in other words, the thought process, if you are in somebody's vicinity and basically end up having the virus come upon you, so to speak, your body at that point should be equipped to fight it more easily because you've already had the virus, and thusly now your body knows the means to fight it off. That is the thought process behind that. Now they're saying in terms of getting the vaccines, whether you've had COVID-19 or not, you still should take the vaccine just to be on the safe side. But remember, we do not have a full understanding of how long any of these vaccines will last in terms of immunity. And it may actually be better that if your body has already developed its own natural immunity to fighting the virus, to go along with that. All right. Cousin Damon is in the house. What's going on, cuz? Thanks for checking us out. Okay. So again, people, here's the thing. I myself put that in the thought process because I would like to know if in the end all these vaccinations are necessary. Remember, we got about a tenth of the country who have already contracted COVID-19 at some point and have fought it off. Outside of those who have passed, God rest their souls. So that being said, if you get these vaccinations, does it make you that much more immune, or does it really matter? Is actually the antibodies within your own body actually even better than having a vaccine? These are things I need to have a full understanding of, particularly if I myself am to take the vaccine. I would like to have that knowledge ahead of time. Okay, TC saying hello to you. Appreciate that. Okay, so that being said, people, we need to have those understandings, and it's going to take time to get all that information. I understand that, but we need people that's actually going to be working on that part of the mathematical science equation. Remember, the present administration, as it stands, at least for another 14, 15 hours or so, they were not basing enough decisions based upon the science. Joe Biden has promised to do so, so we need to hold him accountable to that. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Now, let us go on back here to the PowerPoint and dig into this a little bit more. Okay, give me a second to switch back over, y'all. All right. Let me get us back started here. Okay, so let's move on. Nice, right? Okay. My fellow Americans who have struggled financially as a result of the pandemic deserve the help of the government it pays its taxes to, and whose legislative and executive branches are paid for by their hard-earned tax dollars. In other words, we're talking about now what I want to happen in terms of financial aid for those affected by COVID. Remember, we've already received the package from the House and the Senate in regards to the $900 billion to help out. Part of the problem I'm having with that is because of how it was set up and not properly implemented in time for things to roll over in terms of the PUA in particular. We're still having trouble now getting that implemented in many of the states, including this one. In other words, people like myself who are getting the PUA unemployment, we've had to wait 3 or 4 weeks now for them to renew our benefits. And as a result, bills are getting behind. Now, of course, there are promises that once they get the computer system set up to give out those payments, we will be made whole. In other words, they will give us the back pay and retroactive pay to make up for that. But in the meanwhile, the bill collectors ain't really trying to hear that. Trust me, I know. I've talked to a couple of them in the last few days. They're working with you to a degree, but for the most part, they feel like, well, you ain't working, that's too bad. Mostly everybody else is. Where's my money? Where's my freaking money? Where is my Smurfing money? They want to know. So I want to know. Nonetheless, 1 or 2 stimulus should be provided for all Americans with $100,000 or less in annual salary, or a monthly stipend should be provided similar to that of other countries that have installed. Many of you have seen that little piece that everybody's been posting on their social media that talks about how the different countries are getting monthly stipends per month during the pandemic, and they set these things up early on in the pandemic. Places like Germany and Canada, UK, so on and so forth. So where now they're not worried about some of these stimulus issues that we're having here in America, supposedly the one of the richest countries in the world. So while we're going through that, I really don't understand. But nonetheless, that's where we are. Small business loan programs need to continue until the pandemic is determined to be over based on the appropriate numbers and data. Money must be provided for all states and cities so that they can make up for deficits caused by lack of revenue due to the pandemic. Now, keep in mind, during this particular administration, a lot of those cities, when you talk about the Democratic cities, in other words, the cities that wisely shut down operations so that the spread would not be wider than it is, and basically lost money because of that, they have been penalized by this current administration because they feel like they should have done everything in their power to keep everything open as opposed to close everything. And basically any monies that you guys are missing out on is because you unwisely closed down shop. This current administration needs to have that understanding that that is not the case and look out for these cities and states that also help to pay for the government. Okay, unemployment benefits with additional $400 a week should be provided until June for Americans who qualify. And keep in mind, I'm about to go there. I know some of y'all saying, well, he talked about, no, don't get ahead of me. We're going to go there in a second. Hold on, y'all. We also need to improve Obamacare, not eliminate it. Although we should have universal health care like every other major country on the planet appears to, and y'all know Senator Bernie Sanders speaks of that often, very consistent in that message. Love Bernie. We also must make it affordable, or at least more affordable, if not free, for all Americans under the poverty line. In other words, the people that do not make enough money to get some comprehensive and quality health care, we got to make a way to where they can either pay a very small amount or no amount at all for them to get quality health care, not just any health care, but quality health care to where they can go get annual checkups, get things dealt with in terms of their medicines. They can go to the dentist, all those good things. I did address that, by the way. Dental care and surgery should be included. Absolutely. Healthcare should be free. I repeat, free, people, for seniors and children under 18, period. In other words, yes, we do have Social Security looking out for our elderly as well as the, see, there I go with the memory thing, y'all. Give me a second. Basically, the thing that pays for seniors to have health care. Y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? Go ahead and throw that on there. Help my memory out for a second, would you? But in terms of the children themselves, I feel it's very unrealistic for you to not offer them universal health care because if no other reason, they ain't supposed to be working right now. They're kids, okay? So how can they afford to pay for their health care? That is not their job. And in the end, it's hard enough for a person, an individual person, to pay for some extended health care that's going to be beneficial. So imagine you having to pay health care for yourself, your spouse, as well as your children for however many you may have. That becomes a very huge bill that most families, quite frankly, can't afford, especially anybody that's making $30,000 or $40,000. Thank you, friend Amy, my researcher. I see that. Medicare, that's what I'm talking about. Medicare, Medicaid. Thank you very much. Okay, also, the cost of medicines need to be drastically reduced. Some of the prices for these medicines are ridiculous. And you make it to where we need them and can't be without them, but then you price us out the game by charging hundreds of dollars per prescription fill. People don't have that kind of money, especially people that's basically working from check to check. Let's be realistic about these things. No tax penalties for those who don't have insurance. Now, the reason why that was for Obamacare, I knew at one time when it first happened, but in the end, it really didn't make sense that you penalize people who basically don't get Obamacare because they couldn't afford what it was even then, and that's why they didn't get it, that you actually charge them more money that they don't have because they didn't sign up for it. That was kind of crazy. Okay, you also have to offer an option for those who can afford it to keep it. You got to offer a public option, basically, for those who can afford to have the insurance they have now, and they like their insurance provider and want to keep it. You got to make that possible for them. That's only fair. And then, of course, there has to be considerations for those currently on the path to U.S. citizenship. Because keep in mind, like TC said, we got people coming from Guatemala and other places wanting to be citizens, okay? Now, that's fine and good, and they should make a way for that to happen. But in the same token, folks, we have to remember that in order to do that, they still have to work through the process. And they usually will work through that process within the country, not like how the Orange Clown has it set up now. So while they're here working and getting green cards and situated. You can't have them walking around passing COVID to everybody. So we got to have some means to where if they need to be vaccinated, they can get vaccinated, for example. Or if they having major issues with their health to where it affects the community around them, we got to have some way for them to get some type of health care so that they are not affecting large parts of the population. So that's what I'm saying in regards to that. Okay, well, I'm about to go back to the comments with y'all now. Give me a sec. Let's see what you guys are saying. I see some of it on my phones here, but let me get the whole thing going on. All right. We got Niecy checking in. Hey, Niecy, what's going on, boo? I wish Bernie Sanders would still have ran. And again, people, I don't know to what effect COVID-19 affected all that. Who knows? Bernie might have actually won the Democratic nomination if not for COVID, unfortunately. Absolutely, saying Miss Pat. I totally agree. You are talking Medicare. There you go. Thank you, Big Meech. Elderly and disabled. Yep, that as well. Medicare. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having my back. Hey, friend Amy. Friend Amy, my research department / fact checker. I appreciate you chiming in as always. How's Ruby, Amy? Ruby is that beautiful young lady you see her holding in her arms there in the picture. I like to add that disabled people should be cared for. Yep. I should have included that, but yeah, I agree with that as well. That's what Miss Pat said. I said, that's what Miss Pat, that Medicare. Yep, you're right. Not to mention to the path of citizenship taking around 10 years. Yes, Biden is discussing changing that in one of his executive orders that he's going to implement tomorrow. She's great. She's getting to bed now. Okay, glad to hear that. Good night, Ruby. So, yeah. Now, keep in mind, like I said, some of this that I discussed actually has not only been discussed, but has been put out in a proposal that is supposed to hit Congress's desk tomorrow upon the entry of office of President to be Obama, President to be Biden. I'm about to call him Obama Biden. I'm telling you, y'all, this rest thing is something terrible. Just so you guys know, there will be no Get Off My Lawn live next week, partially because I need to find out some way to catch up on some of this rest, mind you. But also I need to work on some of the other projects that I'm working on. So we will be taking a short break from that show at least. Okay, now let me get into this. Before we move on with the PowerPoint presentation, I want to talk about the proposal that Biden has put forth in terms of some of the things that I've already addressed here in the PowerPoint. Because basically I started working on this the day after my show last week. And since that time, there has been this that has come out of the Biden camp. Give me a second while I looks it up because I have it on my phone because there was a lot to type in and I didn't have the time to do so. Okay, basically, Biden's new initiative in regards to COVID relief is called the American Rescue Plan. All right, hold on, y'all. I'm going to put that on hold for a minute so y'all can see me. Okay, the American Rescue Plan consists of several components. Here are some of the main ones. Direct payments of $1,400 to most Americans, bringing a total of $2,000, including the December $600 payments. In other words, they've already sent out the $600 checks. And yes, I know some of you guys still have not received yours. You can try irs.gov, and there's a couple other websites. They have been supposedly shipped out for the most part, but there's a couple other batches that are supposed to be shipped. Remember, the mail system is still compromised in terms of people being out for COVID and not enough mail people in general and getting caught up from the holidays and all that sort of stuff. So it may be a few extra days before you receive it because of that, or they may have not actually mailed out your actual physical check yet. Then, of course, there's also the issue of people who have filed their taxes through a tax preparer. They are saying that several people like that have had their payments actually go to the tax preparer as opposed to themselves. So you might want to check if you are a person that gets your taxes done by somebody, check with them to see if they have received your payments. If so, hopefully they're honest about it and will let you know, or at least can give you some information so you can in turn use that information to find out about your $600 payment. I will also say if you have any type of method to where they can send it electronically, you do have the opportunity to go through irs.gov and put that information in with them So when they do send out these other checks, which hopefully will be soon, you will be able to receive it directly and not have to worry about them sending you a mailed check. So hopefully that will help you as well. That being said, like I said, remember now, Congress is now run by the Democrats in terms of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Remember, of course, Senate is actually 50-50, but the tying vote goes to the Vice President Harris, who's also a Democrat. So that being said, the likelihood that most of this may pass is actually pretty good. So keep that in mind. So again, $1,400 to be added to the $600 payment. Another thing is increasing the federal per week unemployment benefit to $400 and extending it through the end of September. Now, here's the thing. Of course, they're going to have an issue with that because the problem when they did the $600 a week was people were saying, well, people are not even going to go work now because they're making more money on unemployment than they are at work. And of course, people will have that argument, but there's a thing here. There's something that President-to-be Biden has provided for that may fix that situation. I will get to that momentarily. Okay, that being, because the momentarily is now, increasing the federal minimum wage to $15 per hour. Now, keep in mind, I'm about to address that in my PowerPoint as well. But remember, when they say increase the federal, there I go, y'all. Give me a second. The federal pay per hour, the minimum wage to $15 an hour. That means basically any job in the country, they will have to pay you at least $15 an hour for. And that actually includes people who wait tables. So in other words, that whole $3.35 or however it is an hour from state to state, they would eliminate that and you would be allowed to get $15 an hour on top of whatever your tips and stuff is. That would be a game changer for folks, particularly people like that who wait tables. So imagine you coming home with your 100, 200, 300, whatever it is a night in tips, in addition to your regular pay of $15 an hour. That changes the lifestyle of many people. Yes, as I said, Amy, that does include tipped employees. So that would be, I mean, that puts you in a whole nother tax bracket, really, if that is done. Another thing that he is looking to do is extend the eviction and foreclosure moratoriums until the end of September as well. It'd be nice if they have some type of implemented program to where they could actually pay some of these landlord companies the money or give them some type of loan in regards to that so they could put in so they can stay above water until people are able to pay their mortgages and whatnot. That'd be good if they have that going on in this bill. $350 billion in state and local government aid. So as you see, I discussed that in the PowerPoint. He does provide for that in this particular package. $170 billion for K-12 schools and institutions of higher education for them to basically have money to implement things to protect against the virus. You know, the plexiglass, the filtration systems in the schools, the things that you would need so that the virus would not have the means to spread so easily from kids to kids. Remember, out of that 24 million that I talked about in terms of people who have contracted the virus, 2.5 million of them are children under the age of 18. And that actual number is spreading higher as opposed to the virus itself. In other words, let's just say the average people getting the virus, maybe 15% of everybody that's tested per day. Basically, the number of kids getting the virus is like going up maybe double that. So like 30%. So out of the people that's being tested, because keep in mind, more kids are getting tested now as they're going to school and whatnot. And they're finding more kids are contracting the virus, though many of those children, mind you, are asymptomatic, which means they don't have symptoms of the virus, but they do have the virus. So they very well could be super spreaders. Also remember that most of the people they're saying that are spreading the virus right now are asymptomatic and people under the age of myself, 50 years old. Okay, all stimulus weren't mailed. Mine was supposed to be direct deposit, and I'm still getting the stimulus nor unemployment. And again, I did discuss the unemployment, Ms. Pat. And like I said, I sent you that information in regards to the batches. Some things aren't scheduled to be mailed to the end of the month even. And that being said, like you said, you've already set up direct deposit, but they're still sending you the physical check. For that, I have no answer, Miss Pat. Unfortunately, you've called more people about it than I have, and you've come to no answer. So I really wish I had something good to report in that regard, Miss Pat. We are praying that they work that out for you. Oh, by the way, Amy, if you're still in the room, did they take care of you in regards to that unemployment? I mean, your situation more than anybody's that I've heard or seen, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, listen, says Big Meech. Who is paying for the Smurfing vaccine? They keep saying that we're spending so much money in COVID relief spending, yet the money for free vaccinations are not included in this commentary, in their commentary. Well, like I said, according to what this is saying in regards to money for vaccine, oh, I didn't get to that part. That's why. $50 billion toward COVID-19 testing and $20 billion toward a nationwide vaccine program in partnerships with states, localities, and tribes. Yes, I said tribes, so the Native Americans as well, because they're having some severe problems with the COVID outbreak. And another key thing is to make the child tax credit fully refundable for the year and increasing the credit to $3,000 per child and $3,600 per child under the age of 6. In other words, for those parents who get money because you have children and you get that nice tax refund, you should be getting a bigger tax refund based on this because they're going to give more money per children. So remember, some of you are not only looking toward getting that $1,400 extra dollars in regards to that, but you should also be getting a nice refund when you file your taxes here at the end of the month. So between that money and that money, hopefully that will help big in terms of getting you back whole in regards to what you may owe bill wise and what have you. Okay, Amy is saying, I haven't even gotten a determination yet. Just a letter in July saying that I would qualify for it. So basically what Amy is telling us people, 6 months and some change, she's waited now to receive her unemployment benefits. I've heard 2 months. I've heard 3 months. That's the most ridiculous thing I heard is 6 months. Imagine how much money that is. They still owe you money from the time when they were giving out the $600 a week. Because remember, she's waited for 6 months to hear something. She probably qualified for a month or two before that, even still. So doing the quick math in my head, Amy, they may owe you somewhere upwards toward like $20,000, somewhere along them lines. That might be too much. It sounds like too much in my head now, but it's some ridiculous amount like that. I can only imagine what you could do with that money for you and your child. Please look out for my friend Amy. Government would appreciate that. Okay, y'all, we done got into this thing. I need some libation to wet my throat this water here before we continue. So allow me to go to the commercials for a sec while I do that. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your boy EB. We are talking Biden administration expectations. We're going to get into that a little bit more after this quick interlude.
Hey, bitches. Wait a minute, hold on, Miss Hologram. Hold on. Yeah, it's about that time, but it's about that time for the remix with your boy Derek. Let's talk about it.
coming to you live from the iconic city of Baltimore. This is Hey Bitches, the remix with your boy Derek, part of the Nighthawk Network. Nighthawk Network, our voices for our people. And now here's Derek. What's up, y'all? We are back. This is Get Off the Lawn Live. I'm your boy E-Buck, and right now we're talking Biden administrative expectation. I'm giving you guys my PowerPoint presentation on what I feel the Biden administration should be doing in these next 4 years. Let me address a few more of these comments before I do that. Amy saying, even if I don't get the extra $600, they owe me $10,000 if I qualify. At least that much, Amy. At least that much. I need that check like last year. You and everybody else, TC, I ain't mad at you. The Biden administration needs to be louder with their $1,400 additional release so that folks are not going to use that against him in the future for not giving the folks $2,000. And keep in mind, they've also discussed, Meech, that this is just another part of what he called the down payment for what people are needing to make whole. One of the arguments that people are making is that the people who are making some of that upper echelon of 7,500,000, they shouldn't receive that 1,400. They shouldn't receive anything because they really don't need it. If you're making that much money this year, that's probably because you are not getting unemployment. You're still working. So why are those people being made whole? The argument is that people are still affected by COVID-19 in some way, shape, or form. In other words, perhaps you were making 70,000 and now you're only making 40,000 because of COVID considerations. They didn't cut your hours, didn't have to downsize, things of that nature. Perhaps instead of making 110,000, you only made 80,000 because part of your business involves something that where you need to have things open and things are not open because of COVID considerations. They had to shut stuff down, so you didn't make the money that you're used to making. Remember, people's standard of living is based on their income. So in the end, if you're making 100,000, you're probably paying $100,000 types of bills. In other words, you have bills that basic person A like myself would not have, and you weren't able to pay that if you're not making what you're used to making. So the argument is that these people deserve the $1,400 because that helps them put money back in their accounts to make things to where they were pre-pandemic. As Clown actually honestly said, these things are not our fault. We did not create COVID-19. We just are affected by it, and we should not have to take the full brunt of that effect based on what happened. Remember, we pay our taxes into the government. It's only right that they in turn use that money that we've paid into the government to help us in this time of need. That's just fact. I ain't gonna put the disclaimer on that. That's just the straight up honest truth. So that being said, let me get back into the PowerPoint here, y'all. We're about a third of the way through, maybe even half. It kind of rolls from there. Fear not. Okay. Here we go, folks. We are here. All right. Another thing, we need to work with our fellow progressive and liberal Democrats on things mapped out during the Democratic debates. For those of y'all remember the Democratic debates where they had the 15 and 20 folks on stage, and some of them, as time went on, had to get the hell out of there because they didn't know what the hell they was talking about. But some of them brought up some very good ideas and points that definitely should have been implemented. Keep in mind, I honestly feel that Andrew Yang, if you remember him from the campaign, this whole stimulus thing, where we talked about monthly and weekly stimuluses. Remember when he talked about that as part of his campaign platform, giving Americans $1,000 a month additional income so that they could help make themselves whole and dig out of the hole and perhaps get to a point to where they can get housing if they're homeless or things of that nature. Part of this does come from that discussion, I believe. So ideas like his, and remember Bernie has several ideas about universal health care, universal school, basically cracking down on these big pharmaceutical companies in terms of what they have us paying and in medicines and things of that nature. You got Senator Warren, who had that brilliant plan, I felt like, where you tax the highest 1% like extra 2 pennies on a dollar, and that money we can in turn use for health care and education and child care and things of that nature. And then there's also Cory Booker, who talked about some things in regards to police reform, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the PowerPoint, and things of that nature based on his experiences as a prosecutor and his work in New Jersey as the not senator, but the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. And some of the other people along the campaign that I don't have listed here. You know, like I said, Kamala obviously is going to have her input in things because she's in the White House now with him. But then there was her. There were things that Amy Klobuchar talked about. You know, basically several other Democrats. Definitely, I believe he is the governor of Washington in terms of climate change. He was a big proponent of that, and some of the things he talked about, I think they should implement. So yeah, he definitely should listen to some of these Democrats in the room in regards to mapping out his agenda. Also, he needs to show that he can get both Democrats and Republicans to work together to get the business of America done. People, I've said this several times. Let me say it again for the record. I am tired, folks, tired of having these discussions about what we need to do in terms of partisan politics. Democrat, Republican parties, I'm tired of them. I want them to be no parties. I want people to vote for who they think will do the best job. Let them get to Congress, caucus, and come to conclusions and majority votes and all that. All this, okay, I'm voting this because I'm a Democrat, or I'm voting this because I'm a Republican. It's crazy. But that being said, Joe has said in the campaign that he can make it to where people are not in situations to where we are dealing with partisan politics, because he can have the two sides of the aisle work together in order to get things done. I really need him to work on that and sincerely get it done. Okay, also, we need to fix our relationships with our foreign allies, okay? We need to do that because, hold on, y'all. I did that the wrong way. That's why y'all didn't see what I got done there. Let me do it this way. Yes, fix our relationships with our foreign allies, okay? In other words, all around the world, wherever it may be, if we have offended them because of clown or basically changed things like the Paris Accord and whatnot, we need to put that back to where it was before and get it to where we are cool again with our allies, okay? All right, let me go on back here now because I want to make sure you guys are still with me here. Let me go on back in the room here. Hopefully you guys are still seeing what I'm showing. Okay, guys, did you see any of that? I'm not getting any type of response or anything at the moment from you guys. Let me know if you're still seeing the PowerPoint presentation. You know what? You may have not. Anybody, let me know. Let me know. You guys seeing what I'm showing here? Okay, y'all didn't see it. Okay. I figured as much. I did something wrong there. That's my fault, y'all. Y'all should see it now. Okay, give me a second. You guys heard me at least, but let me go on back. That was my fault. I clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on. Okay, I believe this is where we were. Like I said, those are the people talking about, the progressive liberal Democrats, as they pointed out, some of the things they mapped out during the campaign. We talked about that. I'm saying that he also needs to work with Democrats and Republicans to get the business of the country done. In other words, you've been a senator, you've been in a room with Mitch McConnell and the people, the other guy. Oh, here I go with the memory thing again. He is the senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Thank you, me. Yeah, those type of people. You guys have working relationships with one another. We're counting on you to use those working relationships to get the business of the country done. That's what I'm saying. Okay, you guys should be seeing what I'm showing now, so let me move on. Again, we need to work with our foreign relationship allies, okay, to make sure that we are cool with them again and that we are all on the same page, because a lot of them lost that from dealing with the orange clown. He has offended them. He has told them we're not doing this and not doing that. We need to get back on the same page with these guys. It is important. Also, we need to work on comprehensive police reform program. In other words, one of the things that Biden discussed in one of his town halls was coming up with this plan. During the campaign, set up a commission of citizens and law enforcement officials. In other words, just regular, everyday people from various walks of life, different economical and racial, social backgrounds, along with people who are presently law enforcement officers, people who have been law enforcement in the past. Have those guys sit in a room, come to some conclusions, have some daily or weekly meetings till they come up with a comprehensive idea how policing should go. Keep in mind, defunding the police is not the answer. In other words, just taking all this money from these police departments so that there is no police department or they can't really do as much. That is not the main objective that Biden wants. That's not the main objective I think we should have. In the end, remember, as I have here, we still need police people. There's still going to be situations where we're going to need to call the cops to keep the peace and things of that nature. So we can't just eliminate the police. We need to change the way that they do their job. That is what we're talking about in regards to that. Also, folks, going back to that minimum wage thing, minimum wage needs to be raised to at least $50 an hour for all American workers. And like I said, he has proposed to do that. So think about it. That includes the auto workers who may not quite be there, the restaurant workers, especially the people that work for tip income. Yes, Amy, I understand that. Remember, I have been a restaurant worker for a good part of my life. I've been wait staff. I've been bus boy. I understand what it means to work for tips. Trust me. Warehouse workers, and particularly those warehouses where you're not making quite as much, where you're basically doing part-time work. One of the jobs I've had in life was working at the recycling center that recycles bottles and cans. Very stinky, sticky, terrible job. They pay you maybe $10 or $11 an hour. When I did it, you definitely should get $15 for that at least. Because just buying clothes alone, hold on. Oh, jumped the gun, y'all. My bad. Fast food workers. Now, here it is, people. And I have on the show said that some of these people that work in fast food do a terrible job. Horrific, horrible. But that being said, my thinking is, one, if you start to make $15 an hour, maybe you value your job a little better. Maybe you actually do it better because you're not sitting here thinking, well, they ain't hardly paying me nothing. No way. Why should I be bothered? Why should I want to do my job? Not to mention the fact that some people, because of their circumstance, are just not able to get the standard job that pays them a good living wage, as Bernie Sanders would say. So if you get a fast food job and you're making $15 an hour, do the math right quick. That's $600 before taxes, depending on taxes, somewhere around $450, $500 a week times 4 weeks. That's $2,000 take home. That's $24,000 and some change, as opposed to whatever they're making now. That makes a significant difference. It's still not good enough to have a lot going on because, you still got to pay for insurance and house and rent and all that. But it's a start, Housekeepers and custodial workers, people that basically clean crap, clean up Smurf, things of that nature. They definitely should be making more than what they're making. 15 definitely is a start for them. And secondary industry workers, what do I mean by that? I'm talking about people who work, like, for example, you have your teachers, right? But you also have the teachers' assistants. You have your lunchroom people, but you also have the people that work in the lunchroom, the people that help serve the food and whatnot, or help prep the food, things of that nature. Those are the type of people I'm talking about when I talk about secondary workers. They should be making $15 at least as well, because what they do is just as important as anybody else's job. Now, that being said, let me go on back here to y'all and see what some of the comments are. All right, stand by, y'all. All right, I'm back. Okay, let's see what's going on here in the comments. Okay, not seeing it. Okay, now y'all seeing it. Cool. I do. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I figured out what I did wrong. My bad, y'all. Hey, Eric, Mama, Amy. What's up, Israel? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. H2 saying hi to the son. Amy saying hi to Israel. We do not, but police killing. We do, but not police killing the unarmed. Absolutely. I'm not approving that message, TC. Please don't get it twisted. They definitely need to work on not dealing with us improperly, particularly us people of color that are 10 and 12 times more likely to be victims of crimes of the police than our Caucasian counterparts. For the record, I was a bartender for 11 years, and I've been in the restaurant industry since I was 16. So, yeah, Amy, you absolutely get it. Now, Amy is saying, imagine if people really started getting $15 an hour to serve you at McDonald's. I doubt there'd be for getting half of your order a cussing in the drive. Exactly. Like I said, if you're making some legitimate money, you might actually do your job in a quality way, though you should, regardless of what you're paying, because you could be out here with no job at all. They need to respect the process a lot better than they do. As a fast food worker and manager and years, trust me, I understand that completely, Amy. So yeah, that's that. And again, Biden has addressed that in this package of his. So some of these things, like I said, they come from where I worked on this days ago, but Biden has already provided for it. So that is a very good sign. Okay, let's try to finish up this PowerPoint, and then I'm gonna get to the comments, and then we can move on to other stuff. All right. So let's see where we at now. See, I'm doing this in a couple ways, so y'all forgetting. Like I said, I've been working on PowerPoint, and y'all missing some of my cool effects because I'm not doing the PowerPoint the way I set it up. So I'm not about to waste my work. So I'm just going to show you some of the things I did. Okay. See how I got the screen moving and how some of the transitions come in. I've worked on that. Worked on some of the animations, as you can see. Now let's get here. Regulate student debt and create a path of loan forgiveness or reduction. Keep in mind, some of us owe thousands and ten thousands of dollars on our student loans. For those people like myself who graduated over 20 years ago and we still owe for student loans, at this point, we done pretty much paid off the initial loan. Let's be honest. Right now, we're being charged for the interest of the said loan. And we are steady paying that. And the way the interest compounds itself, it makes it damn near impossible to pay it off if you're just basically making your average money, living check to check, mind you. So that's part of the problem. So we need to make these payments more flexible and more affordable. And people also need to be contacted by folks that can fully explain how the payment process works and what happens if you miss a payment, how you can defer payments, defer years of payments. These things are possible in certain instances, but we don't have a full understanding of that. So we need to put things in place where we can have these things and have a full understanding. Also, we need to defer or eliminate payments where it makes sense. In other words, people like myself, we've been paying for 20 years. We didn't pay a certain amount of money. Go on and let the rest of that debt go, please. Let us move on, because that helps my credit. That basically saves you the trouble of trying to take bits and pieces out my income tax, because in the end, if you're taking that money, that's hurt my financial situation, and that's just making a larger problem worse. So yeah, let's try to work on that. Provide people who can give better instruction and understanding on how these loans work and are applied to. In other words, when we get these student loans, oftentimes it's basically on recommendations of our counselor, or people might give us some general information. We try to apply for one and actually get it. We need to have things set up in place where people can sit down and have full explanation as to what this loan does, how much it is, what you need to do to pay it back, what other options you have instead. Because, of course, there's grants that you don't have to pay back. There are scholarships that you can receive based upon your ethnicity, upon where you live, upon whether you're a male or female. Hell, there's actually scholarships for people like myself who are left-handed. There are scholarships like that out there. People are not getting a full understanding of that, so they don't know. I honestly feel like there should be some type of seminar, some type of classes taught in your senior year where you can have that understanding fully, where they come in and explain all these things to you. So then when you prepare for college, you have that. But of course, I also have a way to get past all that as well that I will discuss a little bit further. Provide more loans for people who are going into studies that benefit the country and the society in general. We all know, people, we need more qualified teachers. We need more qualified healthcare professionals. We need more doctors. We need more scientists. We need more mathematicians. We need these things because our country is going, and the technological advances, we need people that are up to the present day knowledge that is needed to work these information systems and machineries and things of that nature. So I feel like people that are going into those particular fields of study, they should be given free loans to help out, because in the end, they're doing things that's beneficial to this country. Hey, Christian, thanks for checking in. I appreciate you. And I see Cousin Shayla's in the house. Hey, Cousin Shayla. Hey, little cousin in the belly. What's going on? Yeah, see all these little things you missing because I didn't do it right. Create a commission to look into reparations and to the black descendants of slaves. Now, that is a very controversial statement that black descendants of slaves, basically, fancy way of saying, okay, the people who came over on the boats and were made slaves, the people whose grandchildren, great great grandchildren, great 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 grandchildren we are, that part. Now, see, the problem is when we even bring up the term reparations, that instantly runs people out the room. People are like, well, we can't do that. That's from 500 years ago. There's a way to make that happen. We've already established that they have given reparations to other people, that is, America has in the past. They've given reparations to Jews. They've given reparations to the Asians, to Chinese, to the Native Americans. Hell, they even gave reparations to the slave owners when slavery first was abolished to make up for the money that they were missing from letting slaves go. So all that is being said, why can't we at some point in some way, shape, or fashion receive some type of reparations? Plain and simple. Okay, let me go on back for a minute before we finish up and see some of you guys' comments. We are almost there, but like I said, I want to keep y'all an integral part of what's being discussed here. So hold on. Let's see where we at here. H2 is saying, regardless of what you make, you should do your job, period. You know how much you get paid when you start. Hey, H2, I can't argue that at all. Not one solitary bit. Okay. Amy is saying, I'm not going to advocate that tipped employees get at $15 an hour, though. I think it's fair to make less than minimum wage hourly when you can make up to $50 an hour waiting tables. I think it would be fine if the minimum for tipped employees was the current federal minimum wage for hourly. And yeah, and I believe right now that's somewhere around $11 an hour. So, that wouldn't be bad either. But that being said, though, Amy, you got to remember what's probably going to happen. Let's just say this passes, and it looks like it's a pretty good chance it will. People going to make up for their losses. In other words, many of these big, I ain't even talking about the major corporations, because in the end, they can afford to pay us $20 an hour and still make a nice profit and would barely miss that money. The Amazons and the Walmarts and stuff of the world, they making cash over cash over cash. They paying their CEOs millions and millions of dollars in bonuses. They giving them stock options, what have you. If they paid us $20 an hour, we still would be kind of on a struggle on this end, but they will be completely fine. So that being said, what I'm saying is that if they did pay everybody, including people who are receiving tips, $15 an hour, they will make up for it by, of course, making higher prices to the services and the food. Basically coming up with some way to reduce hours where necessary so they don't have to pay you the overtime, because that's where the real problem comes in. Remember, if you're making $15 an hour and your job is properly dealing with overtime, that means if you're working any additional hours over 40, you're getting 22 plus an hour. Because remember, overtime time and a half is like half of what $15 is, which is $7.50. So add that to the 50, so that any hours over 40, you making $22.50, well, $22.50 per hour. And most companies definitely ain't going to be trying to pay that. So they will come up with those things. They will make it to where it will make sense for them eventually. So no, I don't have a problem with them giving them the $15 an hour. Not to mention the fact that people who now come into your establishment know that you're making 15 hours in addition to your tips will probably tip less, unfortunately. That's just a sad matter of the fact. Amy is saying that makes less of an impact on restaurants that are in the brink of bankruptcy and keeps the market competitive, in my opinion. True. Exactly, Miss Pat is saying. Every week, everyone's platform gets better and better. I am so glad I'm part of the Nighthawk Network family. Thank you, Miss Pat. We appreciate you. We're glad you are part as well. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you as well. Absolutely, Amy. Please give Ruby and her beautiful self a hug for me. Yes, I love them cheeks. Love them. Keep posting those pics, Amy. They give us life, particularly the people in our support group. We love to see that child. So, hold on. Let me go ahead and finish this up, and then we could discuss a little more, and then we'll get into our other topics, okay? Let's see where we at here. So, okay. Let me get back to the proper way to do this. Hold on. All right, moving on, folks. We need to create more programs that help women and minorities with business opportunities. This can be done through education and loans specifically designed for that purpose. In other words, part of the problem, particularly when people are going now to get those personal loans for small businesses that they have going, they don't have proper relationships with the banks. In other words, these banks where they go to try to get loans to start their business or to improve on their business, they oftentimes are denied because they have no prior relationship to that bank. In other words, they have no money in that bank. They have no people who have used that bank. I'm specifically talking about women and people of color, so that they would go to a Wells Fargo or Chase Bank or what have you to get loans. And they talk about, well, where's your collateral? Don't really have it. What's your credit looking like? Not so great. All right, who do you know that has used this bank and what have you? Don't have many references. So as a result, those are oftentimes reasons why you don't receive the loan. We need to make it to where some people qualify just because of the fact that they are minority ownership or because of the fact they are women, and that they have these specific things for those two particular groups so that they can go ahead and apply for these loans and open their businesses under the assumption that most of these businesses will be successful and be able to pay back these loans in a timely fashion. So again, we can't just provide these loans for folks and then charge them outlandish interest rates and whatnot to where they can afford to properly pay them back. So of course they set up to fail right off the bat. Remember, by the way, people who are looking to open restaurants or whatnot, that is one of the hardest businesses to make a profit from in the first couple years. Keep that in mind. There's a lot of people out there like myself that think I could cook, I could open a restaurant and whatnot. Most of these restaurants operate from a deficit. In other words, that first year you may not make money or you may lose money, regardless of what you do. And you got to be prepared to deal with that. That's a lot easier to do if you have a business loan and you set aside certain monies from that loan to make up for any deficits or losses early on in the process. And then there is this, folks. We need to make it possible for all U.S. citizens to go to college or trade school for free. For free. Pay bonuses upon degree completion for specialized degree programs. So let me explain that. In other words, most major nations on the planet have a system to where they pay for universal education. A model example would be Sweden. Sweden, they basically have universal health care. They have housing for everyone who looks to need a house. They also have universal education for not only grade school to 12th, but for college as well. They pay for it fully and completely. Not a dime comes out your pocket. They pay for the books. They pay for everything. I want to see something implemented like that here in America. And yes, I would say even for those people who have children and are well-to-do, it should account for them too, because in the end, it benefits the country that we have more people who are knowledgeable enough to do various jobs, so that when they go out into the job market, particularly one where they're going to start having more jobs that's based on the greenhouse effects of things. In other words, getting our electronic things kind of resolved, making these electric vehicles, using solar wind power to power things, solar energy in general, things of that nature. People are going to need to have a full understanding of how these things work. If you have a program to where they can go and be an electrical engineer or person that knows about solar energy and whatnot, and you not only have them do it, but you have them go for free and then pay them for gaining that knowledge, then that would basically have more people be involved in learning those types of things and going into those fields that would benefit the country overall. That is why I say that. Another thing is, in the end, if everybody has a fair playing field to where regardless of ethnicity, gender, what have you, you are able to attend school for free and get your education, then that basically brings up everybody's economic status with one another. So in the end, whether you're black, white, Chinese, polka dot, what have you, you have your means to get your degree so you can get you a quality job. Then in turn, that changes the narrative in terms of people being dealt with improperly because they don't have education or because they don't have the means to make quality money for themselves. That part. So that being said, that brings us here. Come on now. That's right, folks. This has been a Nighthawk Network PowerPoint presentation. Y'all like that logo? I want to incorporate that as our logo, y'all. Let me know what you think about that one. But okay, let me get back to you guys. Hold on. Switching the screen. There we are, people. There we have it. Those are my Biden administration expectations. Let me know what you think about them. If y'all got some extra ones to throw in right quick, let me know those as well. Going back to the comments. All right. All right, we talked about that one. Hey, just getting off my other panel. Hey, Nikki, what's going on? That's Aunt Nikki from the show Dish and Tea with Big Meech and her own show, Aunt Nikki, her interview series, checking in. What's going on, Nikki Boo? Shout out to Mrs. Pat for always showing her love and support and giving us the inspiration to improve and step up our game on the network. Yes, that is you, my co-host from the show, known as, there I go again. My bad, y'all. Give me a second. Oh, my goodness. Got to start getting some better sleep, y'all. Really do. The sleep deprivation memory thing is driving me nuts right now. Game Time Audible is the name of the show. Thank you. I remember. He is my co-host on that show. Nikki is saying they should have loans and grants just for people who need a second chance, like they have for housing programs. Completely agree. Amen, says Nikki. Thank you. Hello, Aunt Nikki and Dr. Facey. That means my cousin's in the house. Yep, she is. Hey, cuz, what's going on? Hey, Miss Pat. Everybody saying hey to each other. Appreciate it as always. We are family, y'all. Are they cutting a stimulus check soon? Well, see, Israel, what it boils down to is this. They're going to put the bill on the House and Senate floor sometime this week. It will be debated and hopefully quickly implemented. Remember, because the Democrats have control of the House and the Senate, hopefully it will not take a lot of debate to get these things on the floor and to a vote so they can pass them. In an ideal world, if they do that, and let's just say they pass them early next week, there's a very distinct possibility that early next month we could be getting those stimulus checks along with any other payments in regards to that. That is the plan, at least. I think your expectations are noble yet lofty with respect. Understood, Amy. I don't have much faith in our government to set aside their greed. Yes, and of course, there are many people that feel that way. Many people that felt that way to the point that they did not even vote for the Biden. They voted for that other clown. Remember, over 74 million people voted for the guy that is not in the White House right now. And everything that he is doing will be highly and extremely scrutinized by them, even more so than us. Remember, Biden, we have given you our vote. It is something that we should not take for granted, folks. If things are not going the way he has mapped out early on, and it appears he is the reason why, we need to call him out on it, just like we would for when Clown was here. If things are not going the way he has set them out because of the Congress and the people that are not trying to cooperate, we need to get on their butts too and let them know, hey, we got our guy in here. We don't approve of y'all not working with him. That is part of the plan for you guys to work together to do the country's business, because in the end, it's not about you. It's not about the money you making on the side from the lobbyists and all that other stuff. It's about you doing what we have elected you for, being representative of our vote and what we need done as a country, period. So that being said, folks, that is my plan. That is what I would like to see done. Some of you are making your opinions known. If you can continue to do that throughout the broadcast here. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to get into my next topic. My next topic, after I discuss a few small things that's trending in the news, I'm going to talk about this good news story of note. So for you parents, this is the part I really want y'all to tune in on. This is about a story that happened here in Michigan, and it has connotations and things I really think we need to talk about and we need to concentrate on. It is very important. You'll understand when I tell you the story. So we will get into that momentarily. Right now, this is Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your host, that tired guy, Eric Buck, but we're going to fight through. We got to do this show. It's for the people, man. Our voices are people. Tired or not, we gonna do the doggone thing. What's up, everybody? Eric Buckner here. You know me as EB, Young Easy, Eric Buck, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm here to kick it with y'all about this little podcast I've been doing. You know, I talk trending topics. I talk about the stuff we as people need to talk about. I talk about some things actually that people kind of want to shy away from because we got to have these discussions, folks. That's how we get better. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, hold on. Yeah, so anyway, you know, I do it Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. You can check it out on Facebook, on YouTube. You know, it's a good show. I say get into it. Yeah, you want to know the name of the show? You said, hold on. Hey, you, get off my lawn. Yeah, anyway, that's the name of the show, by the way. Get off my lawn. Check it out, Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Let me go handle this. I'll be out.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
What's up, y'all? This your boy Derek, the host of that fabulous show, Hey Bitches Live, the remix with your boy Derek. Do me a favor. Go check out my Facebook page, HB Live, the remix with Derek. Like it, join it. That's one good way that you can always find out when my shows will be on. They're always on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Subscribe to that for me. And we got it going on. You know, Hey Bitches Live, the remix, the show that talks about all the things that a lot of us want to talk about and some of us are scared to talk about. So check me out, Hey Bitches Live, the remix with your boy Derek, a very proud member of the Nighthawk Network.
Hey, y'all, we are back. This is Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your boy E. Beezy in the house having these discussions. We're going to go to the comments right quick before I move on to the next topic. Everybody saying hello to everybody else. Okay, Miss Nikki is saying not to go off topic, but we are still having a Zoom party tomorrow. That was my intention. For those of you that are the VIP members, as I would call them, of the Nighthawk Network, we plan on having a Zoom party tomorrow to celebrate the inauguration. We're going to get together on Zoom. We're going to play some of our favorite celebration songs to have us a little party for the new administration. We will post that information, I believe, Nikki, on the information page for guys to join in and party with us. If you want me to set that up, or H2, if you can, we can do that and we can get it in, because this is supposed to be a happy event, even though we still have to worry about the potential violence and all that crazy stuff. Didn't really get into that like I wanted to, but y'all know what's going on. Just be careful out there, particularly you, Leah. Leah, if you are listening, be careful. Absolutely. Jesus walks with you, true enough, but we need you to have the head on the swivel and all that good stuff. Leah works just a couple blocks away from the Capitol, and we have been praying for her daily because she is truly in the midst of those guerrillas. And we got to make sure she comes home safely every day. So, yes, H2 is saying I'm in. Amy is saying, hold on. I think that healthy eating is taking effect, Eric. I think that healthy eating is taking effect, Eric. Okay, I understand what you're saying. You may be right. I hope so. I didn't get a second stimulus check. Yes, we know Miss Pat is killing me. We had a discussion daily, and I pray that one day you're going to tell me, I got it, and you do what you need to do with it. Hey, cousin, what's going on? Dr. Marla Facey. Her show is Monumental Moments in God's Word that you will find Thursdays here. Shout out to her. Don't forget to tag me, please. Oh, you know you in, Miss Pat. Come on now. I will set it up. Would you like it via Zoom? Yes, definitely by Zoom. Please do that, H2. We appreciate you. Okay, put the link in the Nighthawk page. We absolutely will. You know it. Amen. What they in? I'm not sure what that was about, cuz fill me in. I'm doing okay, Dr. Facey. Yep. Hey everyone. Hey, Amy Sample, how's it going? Hey, cuz. Hey, cousin. Thanks for checking in and checking out the show. I appreciate you. Okay, so now we're about to get into our next topic here, folks. Hold on. Will Muhammad checking in. What did you miss? We basically had a discussion, Will, about what I would like to see from the Biden administration. I know you have some qualitative thoughts about that. Please feel free to chime in with what you would like to see go on. What time? Okay, we'll talk about all that after the show, y'all. I'm Johnny Come Late. Yeah, we were talking about the Biden administration, what I would like to have go on in regards to that. Please, if you would, check out the rebroadcast of that. Particularly if you're going to do that, please go on YouTube and find me at Eric Buckner Nighthawk Network. That's Eric Buckner Nighthawk Network, and check that out on YouTube. And if you have not already, please like and subscribe my page. I would appreciate that very much. Yes, and I love Dr. Facey's show. I do as well. Monumental Moments in Crisis, again, the name of her show. Okay, can we get an update on Coach V? Oh, I'm definitely going to go there. And actually, if you have spoke with him today, Will, I have not as of today. But if you spoke to Coach V, because remember, Will and Coach V, they have a show that's called Pure and Uncut that they do together. So if you have any update on Coach V, we would appreciate it, Will. Send the link. Okay, we'll send you the link, sir. All right. Again, let us get back to what I was going to discuss here. Hold on. Doing that the wrong way. A good news story of note. Okay. Now, this story comes out of Taylor, Michigan, folks. Some of you who are in the Nighthawk Network, we have discussed it, so you're familiar with it. But meanwhile, people, I need to talk to you, particularly the parents in the room, about this story. This story is about a young lady by the name of, hold on. I do have that available, do I not? Yes. Her name is Gloria Alvarado. Gloria Alvarado, resident of Taylor, Michigan. Now, let me break down the story. Basically, this is a young lady, 15 years of age, who on November 1st of last year ended up being reported as missing because of what happened at her household. They basically found that she was not in her room the next morning when everybody woke up to do their daily stuff. And upon further review, they saw that the window to her bedroom had been broken out and she was gone. So what was thought to happen was she basically was some type of kidnapped. And now she was missing. So this led to 2 months of them asking for her safe return and trying to find her. Well, fortunately, unlike some of these other stories, they actually did find Miss Gloria Alvarado. But the consequences and understanding as to why and where she was is why this story is a good news story, because of the fact she was found, mind you, but important because of why and what happened. We're about to get into that. I address this last couple comments here. Will saying he is doing well. Just got off the phone with him. All right. Tell him he is in our prayers, and I will be trying to check on him tomorrow. Coach V, if you're actually in the room listening, stay up, my brother, and take care of yourself, my man. We appreciate it. That goes for me, and I'm sure my partners in the Nighthawk Network as well. For those of you who know Coach V, he's been on a couple of my shows. He's also been on Big Meech's show. And, you know, he basically checks in the comments on most of the shows of the Nighthawk Network. So we're definitely praying for him. He was hospitalized a couple of days ago with some issue. We're not sure exactly what it is, but hopefully he is getting better by the day and moment, and that he most definitely will be back healthy and whole very soon. Will is saying most definitely he is resting. All right, good. Glad to hear that, Will. Hopefully you're doing good as well. Will also having a couple issues. Hopefully he is getting well. Let us know about your condition too, if you don't mind, sir. Hold on. Please tag me in the post. Yep, you already know we got you, Miss Pat. Don't even worry about it. Prayers to Coach V from Miss Pat. Okay, back to the story, y'all. Let's get back into it. Okay, so here it is. They find Gloria Alvarado. Where was Gloria Alvarado? Gloria Alvarado actually was in Inkster, Michigan when they found her, not too far from her home. Now, the thing is, how did she get there? What was going on? Well, let's tell the story. Keep in mind, she was found by a detective, and this detective basically looked to track down her location based on the evidence that he had basically come up with. And what he initially found is that the window that was broken that she was reportedly taken from, she definitely could have not gotten out of herself on her own, more than likely, because that window basically was a 6-foot drop. In other words, when you open that window, it will be 6 feet from the ground for you to get down and thusly be taken somewhere. So the thing was, it was highly unlikely that she herself was basically just snatched out of the window itself and taken from the house. In other words, it would have took a little doing in order for her to get out of that window and move off to somewhere else. Another thing he noticed was, keep in mind, they were looking for a car of interest in that story, and that car basically was not found. But what they did find was that after they looked on a neighbor surveillance camera across the street, that car or car similar to that would show up during that time of night for the last 2 to 3 weeks. In other words, he had them rewind the surveillance camera, and he saw that around about 9:30, 10:30 every evening, a car was pulling up in that same spot, and there was some activity toward the back of the house in regards to people going back and forth. Now, upon further review, he found that this person, that being Gloria Alvarado, had a mutual friend. And from that mutual friend, he got the information that she was seeing someone. Keep in mind, she is 15 years old. This person she was seeing is 24 years old. And apparently they had a secret relationship going on. And what happened is that, remember, we had the pandemic. So at some point, we stopped doing school and whatnot. So she was not able to see her special friend on a daily basis that she had been, because one, she was seeing him during school hours or whatnot, and now there's no school, so she's at home every day. And two, the parents, when they found out about the relationship, they completely shut it down. They did not want her to be involved with an adult, which was, by rights, should have been done. But in the same token, she had feelings and fell in love with this guy, teenage puppy love that it may have been, but she was determined to still be involved with him. So what happens is their love affair gets to growing, and basically the boy puts out there, well, the young man says that, okay, we need to be together. Come be with me. Come be with me at my grandparents' home, and we could be together. And, your parents don't want us to be together, but we love each other. We should be together. So they come up with the plan to that night go ahead and take her from the household, leave her phone, leave everything to where they can find her, and move on off to Inkster. So in the end, what happens is she's there with him for 2 months, and they're not supposedly seeing social media and whatnot. So they're not knowing that there's this great manhunt for her and that she's missing, and all these people are trying to find her. They are in a little puppy love stage, and then they think. That's where the story is a little shaky, mind you. I find that hard to believe that nobody, particularly somebody who has seen that girl in that household with those people, had not had the notion to tell, well, she here, she with us. So a lot of people that should have said something probably didn't say something in that regard. And remember, we're talking about an adult in his early 20s and a girl who was 15. Statutory rape, all that good stuff. But in the same token, they in love, supposedly, reportedly. And that's why she did not come. Now, eventually what happens is she did eventually catch a newscast or two, and at that point determine, okay, maybe I shouldn't go home because I'm scared of what might be said or what might happen when I do get home. But if you've seen some of those reports where the parents came on TV and pleaded and begged for that child to come back home, I find it hard to believe that at some point they wouldn't be like, baby, it don't matter what it is. Just come home. We miss you. We love you. Okay, Will is saying, hold on. Miss Pat's saying, wow, that's real scary. He brainwashed her. That very well could be the case. You would be surprised how many people that don't watch the news. No, actually, I wouldn't, Will. That's a very good segment of the population. That's part of why we got some of the problems we got now in terms of all this stuff, in terms of COVID, the government, what have you. People are not they purposely not trying to be informed about what really goes on. My personal opinion. Miss Pat, it doesn't take brainwashing for a 15-year-old girl to fall in love with an immature adult. Coming from a former 15-year-old girl who fell in love with an immature adult is not right, though. Absolutely. Like I said, basically as a young adult, I fell in love with people younger than myself, not quite that young, mind you, but people that were like in their early 18s, and I'm in my late 20s. So I kind of get that to a degree. But in the same token, you have to be mindful of where you are in terms of your stations of life. In the end, a conversation probably should have went on between the parents and that young man, and perhaps his parents and that child, and some boundaries and things should have been set forth. Like I said, if they chose to be just simply friends, that's one thing. But as you know, as a person who's been a 24-year-old boy, it wouldn't have been mainly just friends. They definitely had to have something in you know what I'm saying. Put two and two together on that one. So yeah, it would have been hard to approve that message, parent or otherwise. But bottom line is, she is home now. Apparently they've had discussions. I don't know what the status is of the relationship between her and the young man. But what I think we should learn from this is, one, be mindful of what your kids got going on with themselves. Keep in mind, as children, they don't have the rights that adults do. In other words, what I'm saying is, some people have issues with people looking in their phones and finding out what's going on with them. Your children, yeah, you may want to choose to get them a phone, but they shouldn't just have blanket cachet to do and say with those phones whatever the heck they want. You need to be mindful of what your children are looking at on their phone, who they talking to and whatnot. I'm not saying you need to necessarily go as far as to be like, look, let me see your call log. Who you been calling? Who is this? Why you talking to him for 18 minutes, whatnot? I mean, as a parent, I feel like you kind of have a right to do that, but I don't think it needs to be that extreme. But in the same token, you should be an active part of your child's life, I personally feel. Again, this is coming from a person that's not a parent, so take it for the grain of salt that it is. Hold on. They chose to sneak around because they knew it wasn't right. Obviously. Yes, ma'am. Amy is saying, Meech is saying, what were they doing to support themselves? Was he living on his own or with the family? He was living with the family, Meech. I can tell you that. Why would any family member encourage the 24-year-old to shack up with her without putting him in check and contacting her parents? That part, Meech. That part right there. Where was the accountability and responsibility? Particularly for people who are parents. I know they had to know that that girl was missing. I refuse to believe that they had no knowledge whatsoever after 2 months. People actually were looking in the neighborhood where that young man was located in regards to her, because some people, as it started to be reported that they were together at some point, they may have even actually questioned that young man as to her whereabouts. And you mean tell me nobody knew nothing? I find that very hard to believe. Israel saying, what up to you, Meech? Will saying, I check my kids' phones on a daily. I check everything and popped up at their school on a daily. And I ain't mad at that, Will. If I was a parent, I would do that too. Wellness checks, pop-up checks, whatever you want to call them. I need to know, because keep in mind, I've been a kid. And I was one of those kids where you didn't always know what I was doing. So because of that knowledge itself, I know, okay, let me see what these kids doing every now and then, because some might not be right, and I need to know. Okay, Miss Pat is saying, so when you sit down and talk to your daughters and introduce them to Christ at a young age, my daughters didn't get a phone until they were 18, and I still monitored their phone calls. And that may be what some people would look at as extreme, but again, these are your children. These are the people that came out from you, that you gave life. So I can't argue that point, Miss Pat. If you feel like that's what you need to do to keep them safe until they got to a point where they had presence of mind to make the right decisions, then I'm not faulting for you for that at all. Me saying, what's back up with you, Israel? I did also, Will Muhammad. Yep. And like I said, I think as responsible parents, those are the types of things you do. Again, I'm not here to give people parenting advice. That would be very ballsy for somebody that is not a parent. But in the same token, I still feel like these are things you need to be mindful of. So as you are sitting there, perhaps with your child, perhaps looking at this broadcast, maybe a discussion needs to be had as to what your children are up to in regards to their relationships with not only people they claim to be involved with, but people who are their friends. Gain some understanding of what those people do and who they are on a daily basis. Remember, because these kids are at home and they feeling lonely and desperate to get out just like us, who knows to what degree that they'll do. Remember, this was a very intricate plan, but thought up by two young adults, or basically two older children, however you want to look at it. If they could come up with something like that, who knows what some of your kids might be doing to actually get in contact with the people that they care and love and cherish in terms of their childhood, at least anyway. Hold on. Amy saying, I got to go. I'm not going to add my opinion about what to do to watch your kids because I was a sneaky kid and I'm raising a beautiful daughter. I'm terrified. Understood. You see what I was saying, Amy? And good night, by the way, Amy. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. Once my children became adults, I allowed them to make their own decisions, and my job is simply to be their support in the background. Absolutely, because your role does change at that point based on the age of your children. I get that. The element of surprise works very well as parents to keep your children on their toes. Plus, they realize consequences on many different levels. Because again, some of these kids, like myself, I had my own room and everything. I don't know if my mother actually went upstairs to check to see what was going on with my stuff and whatnot. If she did, she probably would have found some things she wouldn't have been too pleased with. But that being said, I still was probably on the better end of being a good child. But I can only imagine what some of these kids that got all type of mischievous stuff going on is up to, especially now in this day and age of social media and technological advances and whatnot. You got the iPads and you can video chat and all that stuff. Who knows what's being said behind closed doors? In the end, I would allow my kids to have their own room, but wouldn't be no lock on that door. Not at all. Wouldn't be no lock on nothing in that room. That's just my personal opinion. Great show night. Thank you, Amy. And Israel saying he's just chilling. So yeah, let this be a cautionary tale to some of you parents about Miss Gloria Alvarado and her actions. And keep that in mind as we're dealing with our children, particularly in the middle of the pandemic and whatnot. I got a couple final thoughts to give to you guys. I'm going to hit a quick commercial break and then give you those. And then we're going to go ahead and call it a night here. I'm going to get off my lawn live. Thank you all who are tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you. I will be back momentarily. Hey, y'all, we are back. Get off my lawn live. E-Buck in the building. Hey, what y'all think of some of these commercials that I got going on? Y'all see my commercial skills are getting better and better. I'm actually at the point now where I'm doing advertisements and promotionals for other people who want to be a part of the network and advertise on the show. So shout out to you, Marquise. If you are there, we are working on your promotion video, and hopefully it will be done sometime this week for you. And we will be showing that next week on the show. Well, actually, not next week. Remember, I'm off next week from this show at least. We're still doing Game Time Audible with my guy Hugh Lee. We'll be doing that next Wednesday as well as tomorrow. But today, this will be the last Get Off My Lawn live for at least the next week. We should be back 2 weeks from now. Let me address some of these comments right quick. Hold on. We appreciate you and love you also. Saying that to Amy. Parents know their children if they pay attention. And if you know yourself and the life you led, you will know either your child or children will be just like you or the other parent. So stop living in dreamland, thinking your fantasy if they will be a reality. I did not read that right, I think, Meech, but basically what you're saying is know your kids and don't think that they just this perfect cookie cutter child and does nothing wrong and has no involvement with bad people and all that. Remember your childhood when dealing with your children. If you could conceive it as a child, they definitely could. Remember, they have advantages over us in terms of information that we did not have privy to when we were kids. Unless, of course, you picked up that big Encyclopedia Britannica in the back and whatnot. Israel saying, I want my own show. Well, interesting you should say that. We at the Nighthawk Network are actually working in cooperation with each other to have people like yourself that's interested in having a show on the network or just a show in general, have a podcast of your own. We're working with you through intern and mentorships to where you can have your own show and see how they work, see what they consist of, see what platform you would like to use, all that good stuff. So, Israel, if you're actually interested in learning from us, hit me up on the messenger, or you can hit up Big Meech or Aunt Nikki, the shows that you've checked out, and we will get in touch with you and see what we can do to help you out in that endeavor. I love all the commercials. Thank you, Miss Pat. Okay, he says, I have some good ideas. I'm sure you do. Like I said, hit me up on the message. Matter of fact, you can hit me up tomorrow. Leave me your contact information. I will give you a call. Good night, everyone. Good night, Amy. Thanks for checking in. We appreciate it. Oops, fantasy of them, not if them. Okay. So, no, I thought it was just me not reading it right. Okay, Eric Butler, you keep saying Amy. It's Miss Pat. Remember, Amy is gone. I'm not sure if the feed is not catching me correctly. But no, I know it's you, Miss Pat. No, Amy, our Amy, friend Amy is gone, but Amy Sample is still in the room. Amy Sample. There's two Amy's in our Nighthawk Network, okay? Okay, y'all. Before I go, there's one more topic I want to discuss with you guys. As you know, there is the big one. Well, the two big ones. In other words, the two big lottery jackpots. We got both of them tipping the scale at over $700 million a piece on average. And the drawing should be jumping off any second now. And if you have, like myself, invested and played you one of those tickets there, you have bought into what could be a potential winnings of several hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, that being said, I've always wanted to have this discussion on air, so I'm absolutely going to do it right here and right now. Here's the thing. If you notice, because they're supposed to make public the people that actually win these major jackpots, if you notice those people who won, what are some of the common themes? One, most of them do not come from large metropolitan areas. They come from suburbia, someplace in Okie-Skokie, Escanaba, whatever, Hope Punk, little pink link town you could think of. And the story is that I've never played in my life. But one day I decided, hey, let me go ahead and play this thing. And boom, pow, they win it. Now, let me get my conspiracy theory hat on here for a minute. I'm just going to call it this right here. Mainly because my head is cold. But anyway, call this my conspiracy theory hat. Let me put that on while I have this discussion. Here's the thing. Most of the money that's being paid into these lotteries come from large metropolitan areas. That's just the facts, folks. The hardworking people that work in these cities, they put down 20, 40, hundreds of dollars. I actually know a group today that got together a pool of $10,000 and put it together and played tickets of $10,000 worth of money just to potentially win part or all of this jackpot. Think about that for a minute. Kind of crazy, right? But as you know, it's happened a couple times before where these pools, these lottery pools get together and they actually do win the jackpot. And they split the money and they come to some preconceived notion of how they're going to do it and whatnot. If you're entering any of these pools, please have that understanding. And if so, put it in writing because it sounds good in theory, but then that 300 million come through, people act different, particularly the person that actually went and paid for the ticket, because in the end, as y'all know, on the back of these tickets, there's a place where you sign off on it. Whoever signs that ticket, they are the rightful person to claim that ticket at the time, okay? So they could just go ahead and take it to wherever lottery claims are sold and be like, I got the winning ticket. Here you go. Here the numbers. Here my name on the back. They declare you the winner, and boom, you got the money. Now, if you do the right thing and don't want karma to catch you, yeah, you're going to claim, okay, well, this is me and however other many people that put in. But if you're one of those deceitful people that realize, damn, I got this ticket all to myself, you may be like, boom, here we go. I got 200 million. Y'all ain't got jack. And then we get into potential lawsuits and whatnot. But more times than not, they're going to be like, look, he went to the store. He bought the ticket. It's on him. It's his money. He ain't do right by y'all. Y'all bad. So keep that in mind. Another thing is, again, most of the people in metropolitan areas are the ones who are paying the majority of these jackpots, okay? But more times than not, they are not the people winning these jackpots. So on that rare occasion where there is a store in, say, Brooklyn, New York, or here in Detroit, or Chicago, Illinois, and they win the big one, it's usually not one of these mega jackpots, these gigantic 300, 400 million plus ones. It's usually one of the regular 60 or 70 million ones. And keep in mind, I know I sound crazy saying usually when we talk about 60 and 70 million, life-changing, possibly a generational change of money, but in the same token, it is what it is. So that being said, keep this in mind. One, as you know, there are tax considerations for when you claim these jackpots. So even though the jackpot tonight is some hundred something million, in the end, if you take the lump sum claim, in other words, claim the money outright now, as opposed to taking the yearly installment, they will take the bulk of those taxes right then and there. So in other words, instead of really winning 700 something million, you only winning like maybe 400 or 350 million. They take damn near half. Now, granted, that still leaves you $350 million, more money than you should be able to spend in your lifetime. But that being said, remember, about a third of all lottery winners that win these mega jackpots are usually broke within a year after winning the jackpot. I say about 40% of those winners that applies to. So think about it. You don't want 40 million and less than 6 months later you broke. You know how upset and hurt I would be? Yeah, of course there is a larger rate of suicide among people that have done that. It'd be hard to live with knowing that. I can't condone none of that, mind you. Please never, 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 never think of anything or do anything that would harm yourself in that manner. Do not endorse that at all. Ever, 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 ever. Okay, Meech is saying they don't supposed to. They do it because of the Right to Know Act and Open Records Act. They cannot opt to, but they don't unless you pay for it. Like here in Georgia, it's 25% of the coin, and that is a safety issue. We've had a dude killed here a few years ago after being outed on TV for winning. And then there's that part, because remember, folks, they're supposed to let people know who won these jackpots, but you don't necessarily have to go on TV and make that known. I remember, I believe it was a couple years ago, there was actually a person, and they went on TV in a costume, as in dressed up as a mascot to claim the prize. Because so technically, they did their obligation. They let it know, okay, here I am. Basically, they did not use their full government name. They say, I'm E so-and-so, and I won the jackpot. Thank you very much, I'm out. I've also seen instances where they've had their legal representation claim the prize on TV for them. You are allowed to do that. You can do that in terms of claiming the prize. And see, the part of the problem is this. Remember, as I'm showing you the ticket, keep in mind, I'm purposely not trying to show you the numbers, because in the end, let's just say you done seen the podcast, the numbers come out, and because you saw my numbers, you see I have won. Unfortunately, it becomes a safety issue. It should not. In the ideal world, if let's just say I won the jackpot, and for some crazy reason I decide I still want to live here in this place, in this neighborhood on the west side of Detroit, just being a multimillionaire. You understand that being a person in the city or whether you're not even, that would be made damn near impossible just because people will either one be lined up at your door like, yeah, I see you won and blah, 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 blah. Remember me, I'm your friend. Remember me, I'm cousin, blah, 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 blah. And let's just say you try to look out for all those people, then your money gone. Let's just say you're not trying to look out for them. Y'all gone some damn where. I ain't looking out for nothing. It's my money. Y'all ain't care about me then, don't care about me now, and whatnot. And so then, of course, they wait till that fateful day. They catch you slipping. You walk out the door, boop, boop, right upside the grill, and money gone, that type of stuff, because they know you got it, and you in the hood, and you weren't properly protected or prepared, and then they got you for whatever they could get you for. Okay, Miss Pat, since you got the lead, I know you be up early, Miss Pat. Understood. Thank you for checking in. So then there's that part. Like I said, in the ideal world, if I was to personally, if this actually was the ticket itself, and I become a multimillionaire, of course I can sit here and tell you I'm gonna look out for this person, that person, this person, and I fully intend on doing that myself. But I know some of you, if y'all won that, y'all saying one thing now, but when that money actually is accessible to your hands, you can actually go in the vault and count it Scrooge McDuck style, your thought process might completely change. Don't let money change you, almighty dollar. Y'all remember that song? That part. But yeah, for that mean green, you might see it a little different. And that being said, here you are now living in the city. Your first thought is what most people's will be. Okay, I done won this money. I ain't letting nobody know a doggone thing. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm disappearing. And ain't nobody gonna find me. And by the time they do, I'll be so far gone. Won't nobody know nothing. Because I ain't paying nobody nothing. And I ain't trying to share nothing. Plain and simple. So there's that. But yeah, in the idea where I would like to win the money and do things for my community and for my people in general. But some of y'all may make that difficult based upon the fact that you know I done won this. Let's just say I give you $1 million, but you say I done won 400 million. All I get is $1 million. Wasn't I your friend with such and such and such? Miss Pat, I see your comments. So let's just use, for example, Miss Pat all of a sudden like, yeah, E, remember when I supported the network or whatnot? Oh, now you big time now, and all I get is $1 million. You know I'm trying to look out for the homeless and all that. You can't do no better than that. Those type of conversations. Not to say you would do that, Miss Pat, just because I saw your name, okay? I know you good people and all that. But that being said, those are the types of things you have to consider if you are blessed enough to win the jackpot. And remember, sometimes it's beneficial because in the end, maybe again, nobody wins tonight, okay? But because you got most of the numbers, you win that $1 million. That $1 million makes a difference in most people's lives these days. Granted, $1 million probably will not last you a lifetime. But in the same token, if you're a person of a particular age like myself, that's enough money to say, well, I guess it's time to go ahead and start my retirement. I should be able to work that out enough to where that money lasts me for the next 20 years, properly invested and dealt with, right? But like I said, for a younger person, perhaps it is actually better for you to get that yearly option because one, they're not going to tax it the way they tax the full amount. And two, when spaced over time, you basically don't have to worry about the considerations of being a multi-millionaire. You just work out the 3 or 4 million a year. And because they know you have access to that, that helps you in terms of credit and whatnot. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the rest of the money until you get it, you know? You're still able to do the things you want to do in terms of big time investments and whatnot. Because you basically borrow off the collateral of the money that you presently have coming to you later on. So there's that. So yeah, consider that, people. If y'all win that big money, of course I'm gonna say, yeah, look out for your boy. But if you don't, I ain't mad at you. Just be responsible with the money. Please don't become one of those tales like we see on, I don't remember if it's TLC or whatever channel that is, where they constantly show that show about lottery winnings and how they smurf it all up and now they broke. There's actually a story on one of those shows that I saw where the person not only hit the lottery one time, they hit it twice, 2 times, okay? And still ended up broke. How crazy is that for you to win multi-million dollars one time, spend it all, be blessed enough to actually win again, and end up broke again? That is so crazy. Okay, Miss Pat is saying, I would never do anything like that. I'm broke down. I'm feeding the homeless out of my pocket. Miss Pat, again, like I said, I'm not using it as an exemplification. Just use the name that I saw at that moment, okay? I know what your heart is, Miss Pat. Trust me, I know you would not do that. I promise you I know that. See that part, says Big Meech. Smurfers come out. The Smurfing woodwork. Outstretched hands. Remember Sanford and Son when Fred went? Yeah, I remember that episode very well. They was clowning, wasn't they? And it's other shows that have that. Remember that movie, that little Bow Wow was the star of with the lottery ticket. And people knew he won and was trying to bust him in the head and kill him and kidnap him and all that stuff. I remember that very well. But anyway, it's getting late. Some of y'all done dropped off because y'all got other responsibilities. And as y'all know, I was tired when I started this thing. So I'm definitely tired now. I ain't even had dinner. So I'm probably going to unwisely have late dinner because I got to eat, okay? But that being said, we about to end this episode of Get Off My Lawn Live. Thank you to all of you who have viewed, whether you're viewing now or you're going to catch the rebroadcast. I love you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, got to give a shout out, as I always do at this time, to the other members on my Nighthawk Network, such as Helena Hologram, who also serves as my assistant producer to this show. Her show is Hey Bitches. Well, Helena Hologram comes on 9 p.m. on Monday. She had an excellent guest yesterday. Shout out to you, Reverend, if you are looking and listening. We appreciate you. We got that work that you need done coming. Please send us that information so we can work on that right away for you. We got Monumental Moments in Christ, When God's Word with Dr. Facey. That comes on Thursday nights here on the network. We got Dish and Tea with the guy you just heard from, Big Meech. That comes on during the week, usually around 9 o'clock when he is not at the Donut Factory with his co-hosts, Aunt Nikki and Big Red. Shout out to you guys as always. We got Stan Mason behind the blue curtain at 11 a.m. Stan, if you catch this, please hit me up. I got some things I need to talk to you about, sir, if you would not mind. That comes on Saturday, 11 a.m. with him and his co-hosts. Some of them have been in the house tonight. Shout out to you, Chief Devlin and Joe and Pastor Tillman. I think I saw you at some point. Shout out to you guys. Let's talk with Aunt Nikki, her interview series. Shout out to you, Aunt Nikki. She checked in earlier. We got Girl Stop with my cousin Elena. She was in earlier. That was the person that I was telling you about, her audio podcast that we will be posting tomorrow morning. So you check out the latest episode of that with her and her girl, Letitia Williams Howard. Shout out to you as well, Miss Howard. We got Pastor Sean Love, our newer member to the Nighthawk Network. His Sean Love Presents, we have been posting. We'll be posting that on Thursday this week. We're basically trying to find a continual home for that particular podcast. Let us know during the comments or the messenger when you would like to see that air, because we feel like God is a daily thing, and we definitely don't mind switching it around because we want you to get your dose of the good word every day if you can. Some final comments before I head on out the door, y'all. That's why we need to learn the financial industry. I know you weren't talking about me. I know you know, Miss Pat. You know I love you. Awesome podcast. Thank you, Miss Pat. Thank you for having me, Eric. But absolutely, like I said, leave me that information in my messenger so we can talk to you guys. Put the money on prepaid credit cards. Yeah, that's also an excellent idea, actually, Israel. If you are able to do that at all, with, like, say, for instance, when you get the stimulus, and you can take some of that and put it on a prepaid credit card, that ain't a bad idea. Do that. That being said, y'all, let us get on up out of here. Thank you as always. We are about to roll the outro with the credits. There are some people not featured on there. I'm sorry, but I am actually going to modify that next week to reflect some of you guys' efforts as well. Shout out to you, Nichelle Marks. If you are listening, I love you. Thank you for all your support and your input. Appreciate it. Shout out to you, Shauna P. You are one of the consultants of the show, one of the people behind the scenes pulling the strings that people don't know about. When we talk PowerPoint, she is the person who introduced me to PowerPoint. Thank you for that. As you see, I'm getting a little better with it every time. And also, shout out to you, Coach V. And also, shout out to you, David Ford. You guys are in our prayers. You have people who are hospitalized or are hospitalized. We are praying for you. We are hoping that you are well very soon, people. Please do that. So until next time, y'all, remember, won't be no Get Off My Lawn Live next week. We will, however, post a couple shows, particularly those from Big Meech, where we had some very good discussions. I think that will be beneficial to you guys if you have them live. we'll have the rebroadcast of those. So check them out next Tuesday about this time. Until then, y'all be careful, be safe. Remember, as my guy Stan Mason always says, life is not a Trump rally. Wear your mask. As you see, I got this here. We put it on, nice and secure on your face. Don't touch the middle, that cross-contaminates. When you take off said mask, remove it this away and put it up. And remember, let's get more masks. Masks is going to be more, in other words, the Biden administration is definitely going to push for people wearing masks. So you might as well obtain some more. It's going to be a while before we get back to any sense of real normalcy. Get you some masks, put them on your face, please. Help us, help us. Thank you, y'all. Until next time, amen.